All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at prime factorization, factors of a number. And I know that we've done this in the previous class before, but just a little reminder of, how we do, prime factorization and we find factors. And then we're just going to kind of lead into a topic of just factoring in general. So when we look at prime factorization, so first of all, we have to know how do we find factors of a number. So you're going to have to know divisibility rules. How do you know if something's divisible by 2? How do you know if something's divisible by 3? 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. And so it will be really important, for you to know these rules. And we'll talk about these rules, but you're going to probably want to write this stuff down. Okay. Now, when we look at prime numbers, so prime numbers is, the only two numbers that divide into the number that's given is 1 and itself, okay? A composite number is something that, if I have a number like 8, right? 8 is divisible by 1 and 8. That's 1 in itself. It's also divisible by 2, and it's also divisible by 4. And so that's what makes a composite number. It's divisible by something other than 1 in itself, okay? So when we talk about prime factorization, we're looking at writing the number into prime numbers. Okay, when we talk about factors of a number, we're talking about everything that divides a number. So, for example, if we looked at this number 30, right, writing its prime factorization and finding, I'll highlight it instead. Writing its prime factorization will be a little bit different than writing factors of the number. So 30, right, is factors of 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. 4 does not divide in evenly, 5 and 6. And I have a lot of space in between there. But these are factors of a number. Okay, so that would be the factors of 30. Now the prime factorization of 30 is a little bit different, which I have down here, but it's, so 30, to find prime factorization, remember we divide, so this is 2 and 15, and then 3 and 5. So the prime factorization of 30 is 2 times 3 times 5. Okay, so we will be using more of, what are the factors of a number versus prime factorization. But just to kind of get you guys thinking about divisibility rules, we'll practice prime factorization. So we do with this, little dashes, but this is called, these little dashes is called a factor tree. Okay, and how do I find the prime factorization of 24? So what you'll notice is I like to divide by 2, so I like to divide by prime numbers and then leave my composite number on the other side. So this is 2 and 12, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. And then typically I do like to divide by 2 first if I can. That's kind of my, but in a lot of ways, sometimes I don't follow that rule. It's kind of just however I'm feeling at the moment, to be honest. So this is, there's 3 2, so it's 2 cubed times 3. Okay. And then prime factorization of 100. So 2 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 5. So then 100 is the same thing as 2 squared times 5 squared. Oops. Okay. 300, 3 and 100. This is what I'm talking about. So normally I would divide by 2, but I was like, 3 times 100. 2 times 50, 2 times 25, 5 times 5. So what? Not 100. Just kidding. We just did that one. 300 is equal to 2 squared times 3 times 5 squared. And I do write it in increasing number order, so I would always write the factors of 2 first. Okay. 1980. So I'm going to divide by 2, right? Now, here's the thing. Maybe you and arithmetic don't get along very well. So when you do 1980, right, maybe you can't do that in your head. So I would just do the little arithmetic, on the side, and I'll do it here and there just to make you guys feel better about doing it. But in the end, if you have to do the arithmetic, then just do it. So 990, divided by 2, 4, 8, 1, 9, 9, 18, 1, 0, 5. So 2 and 495. Then 495 is divisible by 5. Oops, not 455. 495, so 5, 9, 45, 45, 9. So this gives me 5 and 99. And then this is 3 and 33. And 3 and 11. So 990 is equal to 2 squared times 3 squared times 5 times 11. Okay. But again, you could erase your arithmetic, if it makes you feel a little self-conscious, or you could just leave it. It's totally fine. But again, I'm trying to get you guys to do this stuff without a calculator. So try not to use a calculator on your homework. Try to get the good practice in, because when you guys take your quiz and your test, you're going to have to find these factors of these numbers without a calculator. And if you don't practice it, practice makes perfect. So if you don't practice it, then you're going to run into some issues when it comes to the test. So again, 792, 2, 3, 6, 1, 9, 9, 18, 12, so 6, 396. And then 396 divided by 2, 1, 2, 1, 9, 9, 18, 16, 8. So 198. And then 198 divided by 2, so 9, 18, 1, 8, 6, 96. By 2, 48. And then 48 divided by 2, so 2 and 24, 2 and 12, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. Somehow I feel like I made an arithmetic mistake somewhere, so I'm just going to double check. Sometimes when you go fast, sometimes you make those mistakes, and I just wouldn't want to. I would just hope to not make those mistakes on your guys' video. No, I think we're okay. Or you could put in the comments that, Mrs. Hayden made a mistake. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could guess I could always multiply it out if I wanted to double check, but we'll just roll with it. We'll see what happens. Okay. 15c squared, 3 times 5. Now with these, you could have written, cubed. Your prime factorization is 3 times 5 times c times c times c. I don't necessarily need you guys to do that, but in the end, when it comes to prime factorization or just factors in general, that's how you could write it. I'm going to write the variables out this way because you'll see when we get closer to the end of this section, there's a couple of examples that it makes it better if you would write it out this way. Okay? All right, next one. So u squared w to the 4th is u times w times w times w times w. Okay. And then 39 is 3 times 13. So then 39a cubed is 3 times 13 times a times a times a. Oops. 40 is 2 times 20, 2 times 10, 2 times 5, so 40 p r cubed is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times p times r times r times r. Looks like per. It's kind of funny. Okay, so the reason why I did this is because we have these like missing factor questions. So the easiest thing to do is on the left-hand side to write out what my factors are. So this is 2, 10, 2, and 5. So I'm going to write this out as 2 times 2 times 5 times C times C times D. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is find out what the missing factor is. So I have already a 5C. So I already have a 5C, but what I'm missing right here to multiply is I'm missing 2 2's, a C, and a D. So my missing factor is 4CD. Okay, so I highlight the ones that I already have on the right hand side, and then whatever I'm left over with is my missing factor. Okay, so start coloring my right side first. Okay, so 24 is 2 times 12, 2 times 6, 2 times 3. So then I get 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times P times P times W times W times W. Okay, so I have on the right-hand side a 6, so that's 2 times 3, a P, and 2 W's. So what am I missing, right? So I'm missing a 4. I'm missing a P, and I'm missing a W. So my missing factor is 4PW. Okay. And that is it for this lesson.